Alright, so we've moved on to wiring, and this is wiring 1. In this chapter we will wire up the GPU cooling fan to the GPU cooling fan cable, wire up the CPU cooler fans to the CPU cooling block, and then the cable from the cooling block to the motherboard to power the pump and the fans. Plug in the ATX power cables, and there's 2 of them, into the motherboard. Plug in the top fan into the case-powered fan controller, the fan controller that came with the case. Plug in the HD audio cable. Plug in the USB 3.0 cable to the USB interface. Those are the cables that come from the case that provide interface for USB 3.0 and 2.0. The cables for that plug into the motherboard. So we'll be doing that in this chapter, both the USB 3.0 cable and the USB 2.0 cable. Then we have all the little connectors that plug into the system panel connector. The power switch leads, the reset switch leads, the power LED leads, and then we're going to plug that populated connector into the motherboard, bottom right corner. Neaten up cables with tie wraps and tie back the GPU cooler tubing to the back, so just kind of pull it out of the way. Time to move on to wiring. So first step, I'm going to wire up the fans, get that out of the way so that when I bring the other cables in around, it's not going to be in the way. So I'll start with the GPU fan. There's a cable coming out of the unit, and obviously a cable coming out of the fan. So just connect those up. There's a ramp on the female housing with the male pins, and a guide, a dual guide on the male connector with the female pins, and just plug it in like that, and I'll tie those up along with the hoses, so that'll be neat that way. Next is the CPU fans. We have these 2 fans here, and I have pushed the cables out the back for the fans so that they're not jumbled up in the way. Now they connect up to this connector on the CPU cooling block. It has the 2 pigtails coming off for the fans. If you notice, this is a 4-pin header and the fans are 3-pin, but the ramp is offset, and it's those 3 pins that you use, not the 4th one. So that'll be the same with both of those. So let me tuck this up in the neatest way possible. So I'll push it up there like that. I think. Come on. Come on. Okay. And let me, like that, like that. Okay, and I'll plug these in on the other side, which you can't see, but not a problem. So I'll plug in the first fan. Oops. Actually, these are 4-pin fans. Okay. They are 4-pin fans. So, okay. So both of the CPU fans, radiator fans, have been plugged in, but I need to plug in the other end of this into the motherboard. So let me double check with the motherboard drawing here. Okay. Okay, 1 or 2. Let me double check that. Shouldn't matter. Okay, it'll be the leftmost one, but it really doesn't matter. So, the leftmost one is white. So, the ramp is on top. And again, that's a 4-pin housing with a 3-pin connector. So it'll be biased to the right side of this. And let me see if there's any routing issues. Nope, that should be fine. Okay. There's that. And that will have to be, I'll be tidying this up later. But I don't want that in front of the fan. So we'll pull that back, and probably just pull the slack through to the back side. Easier said than done. Okay, that's that. Now I have this fan here which I installed. So I need to plug that into, I believe, this one here, but let me double check in the manual. Yeah, that's the one. So I'm going to cable out like that, then come in like here. And let's see, the ramp is on the right side, so, whoops. Okay. So that's that fan. I do have one more set of fans, but I'll worry about that in a minute. Alright, now these are the power cables going for the power to the CPU and basically the ATX power cables. So they're going to go up to here, the 8-pin, and there, the 24-pin. So I'm going to go out through that grommet hole, come back in through that grommet hole, I believe. Let me see. So let's feed this out. Feed this out. Okay, so that looks good. Let me spin this around now. And the PC is getting heavier now, not surprisingly. Okay. So, those are the CPU cooling block radiator fan pigtails here. So again, I'll have to neaten that up later. So let me undo these guys because I don't want these guys in the way. Okay, so pull those out of the way, and wouldn't you know, oh, wait, there we go. Okay, so that's out of the way. Now this is going to go, well, this one's definitely going to the top. Probably best to go in here. And this one, let me double check. Yep, should go in here. Okay. So let's spin the case around again. Tuck these out of the way for now. Okay, so where did that ATX cable go? Well, here's the 24-pin one. Now it's got the ear on this side and the catch is there, so it has to go like that. So let me pull this down, kind of pre-bend the cable. And okay, that's in. Now where did the other CPU cable go? That's going to go there. Okay, which way's the ramp? Okay, it's on the top. Okay, and there's like that. So it should go actually like that. Let me double check. It's got to go that way. Okay. We're plugged in. Alright, so the ATX cables are plugged in. That's all the cables that came pre-wired from the power supply. There's additional cables that have to come from the power supply to power the PC, bus and whatnot. But that's the primary cables there. The top 200mm fan gets plugged in up on this little board here. So let me kind of wrap this cable around here to take up some of the slack. And then it plugs in right double check I'm getting this on there right. Okay, so that's in. That's in. So the top 200mm fan is plugged into the fan control board that came with the case. The front two fans are plugged into the fan control board that plugs into the that comes with it. So now I gotta find the cables that come from this that go to power things. And that should be this bundle of wires here. So let's unwrap this. Okay, this should be the the audio cables, the that looks like a fan header, I think. And this is the reset switch and HD light, LED. This is USB, presumably 2.0. This is power LED, and power switch. All of these are going to be going to the front side of the This is the HD audio connector, and this should be the USB 3.0. Yes, it is. Alright, so these need to go towards the bottom of the board, so we'll go into this port here. So this fan header, I'll figure that one out in a bit. Need to rotate around once more. Okay, I'll put my wrist strap back on. Okay, we'll pull these out and we'll plug them in one at a time. So we'll get to that and that later. Let's do the HD audio first. And should go over right there. absolutely in the way. Okay, that is where it goes. Now there's a 10-pin connector with one of the pins blanked out, so only 9 pins active. So matching that up with the header, and this is the correct orientation. So let's try that again. Okay, that's plugged in, and we want to pull the slack out of here, and we'll neaten it up later, but don't want to have too much slack in the way. Let's see, next USB and USB 3.0. Let me double check here on the motherboard drawing. Number 7 is the USB 3.0, and let's see, 7 and 7. Okay, so that should be that one right there. Okay, so the index key is at the bottom, and there's the index key, that's the bottom, so it goes in. Let me see, I'll pull the slack out and sort of pre-bend the cable. Pin at the bottom, going in here. Okay, so the USB 3.0 is plugged in. And again, just take your time. You do need to refer to the manual, unless you've done this enough times. Do not want to make a mistake. So let's see, USB 2.0, which is 15. And that's a couple, well, actually right next to it. So those two headers right next to it. So let's get this guy. Pull the cable back, and do I want to go above? No, I'll go behind. Again, this is again a 10-pin connector with one of the pins blanked off. That's the bottom right on the header, so this has to go in that same orientation. So let's see. Okay, I guess that's it. Let's neaten that up again. Okay, so now we're down to the panel switches, and let me get the connector for that. Where did I put that? Found a little package with the headers. So let's grab this guy, and let's see. Hard disk drive LED plus, minus. we go. Hard disk drive LED. Okay, plus is on the top, minus is on the bottom. And double check that that's the right way. Plus is on the top, minus is on the bottom. I can't believe they're still doing it this way. This is not the hot setup, but next one down is the power and ground. Power switch, so that's got to be, well, let me see what the hell does this say. That's something else. Okay. So the bottom one is power and power switch, and it's just a switch, so it doesn't matter. Power and ground. So that goes like that. Then this is the reset switch, and that shouldn't matter. It's just a switch. So that goes like that. And what do I have left here? Okay. Speaker, ground, power LED. Okay. Plus is on the bottom. Okay. And like I said, I don't understand why they're, in this day and age, this is still a necessity. Why not have all of these pins on a single connector? You just plug in once. Is that too freaking hard? Okay, now, believe that's this bottom right connector. Let me see, 13 is system panel connector, 20 pin. Yes, okay. So, which way does this go? Okay, so there's missing pins. Two. My eyes are killing me. Okay, I got the configuration. Just look at the pins on the board header and the pin layout on the connector. Again, most of them or many of them are blanked off, so you can only put it in one way. But just line it up properly before you try to put it on so you don't bend the pins. So, bottom right connector as I thought. So, let's pull some of this slack back. And I might tidy this up in a little bit. Pull that down. Let me double check that I got that right. Yep. There we go. Oops. There we go. Shouldn't have to go on with any force. So let me organize these cables. And the idea being to take most of the cables to the outside or the other side of the panel. And, oh, now that's not what I wanted to do. Let me put some tie wraps on that while I'm at it. Okay. I won't tighten these up too much at this point. I want to be able to kind of pull a little bit. But that USB 3.0 cable is going to act as kind of a strain relief. One more on there. I might as well tie up the GPU fan and hoses. What I had done to make room for putting the CPU cooler in place was use a twist tie to temporarily pull back the GPU hoses because they were kind of in the way. But I'll use a similar approach for tying those cables back so that they're not in the way. Cables, and so let's do like this. And I don't want to make these tight at all because I don't want to cut into the cables or the tubing. So I think the idea is I'll put a double tie wrap. And let's see, I want that like about there. So we'll do like that. And again, we're not going to tighten it up much because I don't want it cutting in, but that looks like that did the trick. Okay. Okay, so that's tidied up. Radiuses are okay, so nothing's excessive. Everything's in there nicely. Those cables are neatened up. So the only thing left. Actually, let me put a couple of tie wraps on the CPU fan stuff. Okay, so got that. Okay. Be careful not to cut any wires. Okay. That's neat enough for that. ATXs are in. Alright. Trim this off. So, kind of reviewing. Run only one type of cable at a time to avoid confusing what you're doing. If you try pulling all the cables and then you try to plug them in, you know, which cable is which, where does it go? Do one cable at a time, and that way you won't confuse what circuit you're working on or get things kind of tied in a knot and messed up. And also, as you're doing it, kind of neaten things up. I mean, you don't have to get too anal about it as you're doing it, but plug the cable in, like in the motherboard, and then pull the slack back towards the back so that you have a neat arrangement of cables in the visible side, on the visible side of the motherboard, the visible side of the case. You'll wind up tidying up the cables in the back later, but in the meantime, keep the visible side neat as possible. It'll make it easier plugging the rest of the cables in anyway.